Now, as we honor our veterans today, we have to remember there are fewer and fewer remaining heroes from World War II. Just about 200,000 remain from the 16 million Americans who served. Dan Cummins found a former Tuskegee Airman living in Ottawa County. Dan?
Jeff, the Tuskegee Airmen are legendary now as the famed Red Tails, black Americans who fought racism and prejudice to break down barriers, become fighter pilots, and help win World War II in Europe. Their story wasn't really known until 1995 when books and then movies came out to tell their great story.
These pictures, and that was when we went up and we met the president.
This is Harold Brown, 97 years old, in great health, sharp memory. He flew 30 missions in 1944 and 1945 for the 332nd Fighter Group based in Italy. They had one priority: protect American bombers raiding German factories and bases, prevent attack from Nazi planes.
So he's trying to get on my tail, but he can't, because I can outturn him. Our missions were running anywhere from 5.5 up to 6.5, 7 hours long. We would all join up, 4 squadrons. We heard the bombers would all take off a good hour before we did. They were to the south of us, and we could see and hear the bombers going off. We'd take off and such and such. We would catch the bombers before we got into enemy territories. We would catch up with the bombers. We would escort the bombers. We have 4 squadrons.
The Red Tail pilots were all trained at Tuskegee Airfield in Alabama. Harold had joined the Army after high school graduation in Minneapolis in 1942. One of the best in his class, he fulfilled a dream to fly airplanes and serve his country. His first mission was June 6, 1944. The P-51 Mustangs were the very best. Once you got in the air, the scariest part of the mission, he says, was takeoff.
That was the one thing, and it wasn't that you were frightened about it, but you were just a little anxious. Is this engine going to work as advertised? Then the hardest thing to do in that mission was to get airborne. Once you got airborne, then it was a piece of cake.
On his 30th mission, Harold's plane was hit by shrapnel from a train he was attacking. His plane went down in Germany. He spent the final 2 months of the war in a POW camp till VE Day. Returning home with other black veterans, the America he fought for was still segregated, still very much racist.
The war ended. We came back here after the war, nothing had changed. Everything was the same.
Harold spent 23 years in the Air Force, retired as a lieutenant colonel, taught and was an administrator at Columbus State. He lived to see integration in America and equality. Here, quoting one of his fellow Red Tail pilots.
He said, "There was no doubt in my mind that I knew that this country had the capacity to make changes. It was going to take time, and I would have to be patient."
Over the years, the Tuskegee Airmen have gotten recognition, getting a Congressional Gold Medal in 2007. Harold was inducted in the Minnesota Aviation Hall of Fame and is featured in a PBS documentary.
Harold wrote a book with his wife, Marcia Bordner, called Keep Your Tail Speed Up, the story of the Tuskegee Airmen. He's one of 8 remaining Red Tail pilots still alive. Reporting, I'm Dan Cummins.